Welcome to the Food Bloggers Table. Pull up a chair for authentic conversations and actionable advice from fellow food bloggers and industry experts. I'm your host, Jen, and I create custom food blogs designed to earn top-tier ad income. Join us now at the table as we break bread and build brands. Pinterest is one of the best drivers of traffic to most of the food sites that I have seen. So can you give us a breakdown of keyword research, how that plays into a whole Pinterest marketing plan, and why Pinterest is the go-to search engine for food bloggers?
Yeah, Pinterest really is a special platform in the sense that people love to go there for food. It's one of the best categories on the platform because, as Carly Campbell puts it, everyone has to eat and most people cook, right? And so it just naturally makes it a very popular topic. And so there's just tons of great keywords available to us to see because they've got a great trends tool that we can use to get some ideas on some trending searches related to food and everything. And then there are like third-party tools like what I've built, but it's almost endless in the keywords. It's amazing. Now, the thing with Pinterest and what I see a lot of people get wrong and misunderstand about the platform is they will go after these keywords and so is everyone else. And they're not adding their uniqueness to the concept. So in this case, we're talking about recipes, right? And so you can have a basic zesty lemon chicken recipe, right? I bet you can find thousands of them on Pinterest. What makes yours unique? And that's where if you can continue to do some keyword research, sometimes people are searching for very specific types of recipes, sometimes on Pinterest. Now, it's very popular with Google. And that's been another area where I've seen a lot of bloggers get the two platforms confused when it comes to keyword research. So they'll find those very long tail keywords from Google and create recipes around those. But with Pinterest, it's not as common for people to search for those long tail keywords because they go to Pinterest for ideas. Like they're stuck. They can't think of a very specific recipe. And so they're going to go to Pinterest and just type in chicken recipes because they can't think of a specific chicken. Or maybe they just are looking for dinner recipes. They can't even think of something specific for dinner, right? And so understanding that there's going to be a lot of broad searches on Pinterest. And then that's Pinterest's job for a lot of different niches, such as food, to then curate. Like if you were to go to Pinterest right now and maybe do a search for chicken recipes, like you're going to see all sorts of different types of chicken recipes. You might see some listicle content like 10 easy chicken recipes for a big family that will show up every once in a while. And in some niches, those listicle type of content, they can do really well. But I find with my keyword research with food, there's just a lot of individual recipes that Pinterest likes to curate. And so my biggest tip is figure out those broad keywords, chicken or even like lemon chicken, still broad because you can still add your unique flair to it. Put that into Pinterest. You can do Pinterest search logged out. You can use a tool like what I built with PinClicks that helps you search a huge database of official keywords from Pinterest and see what shows up. Get some inspiration. I never want people to just straight up copy someone else, like copy an exact recipe, right? That's not going to get you very far. Pinterest understands like what's unique. Users understand something that's unique. So I just like to get inspiration of, okay, what seems to be popular on the platform for a chicken recipe? Then how can I add my unique flair to it? If you're looking for recipe ideas, like that's a great way to start. It's just getting that inspiration.
I think too, user intent, like you said, I was taught a lot about back in the day when all this started, and Pinterest, the platform itself has changed, and understanding user intent, whether you're doing Google SEO or you're doing Pinterest SEO, they're the same in that they are both search engines. Because the first misconception I think people have is they think of Pinterest as a social platform. That's the way it's always been considered. It's like you roll it in with Instagram and Facebook and all these other social platforms, but that's not what it is. And so understanding that's not what it is helps you make a step up. But then when you think, oh, it's a search engine, oh, it must be like Google, it is, but it's also its own animal entirely. And so being able to segment those two things and understand that I can't apply the same rules that I apply to Google as I do Pinterest. So I appreciate you talking about how if I'm going to Google, I have a very specific question or a very specific targeted answer I'm looking for or that I'm seeking, as opposed to Pinterest, where it's like, all right, Pinterest, do your work and show me what you've got. And it's really just looking at all the things. It's like going to the library and going, all right, like, no, I want this section. So I'm just going to see what speaks to me in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. One of the light bulb moments I've had recently about Pinterest search is that another way it's not like Google is when you go to Google and you search, you've got a vertical list, like one by one. Here's
Mhm.
website number one, website number two, website number three, and so on. Generally, that first result on Google is going to get, I think it's around 40% of the clicks. And then the rest of them pretty much go to the number two and number three listing. Pinterest search is very different. We've been able to recently start seeing search volume, official search volume with Pinterest. And so I've been able to look at where I've got pins that are ranking like one or two or three on Pinterest search. And now I can see the search volume. And now I can start looking to see, okay, what's my traffic look like from those pins?
Mhm.
And it is not matching the search volume. It's way less.
Interesting.
And if you think about it, what makes Pinterest search different as a platform, thinking about user intent, people are there to get inspired. That means they're going to browse more. So just because you have a number one ranking pin doesn't mean you're going to get 40% of the clicks. People are more inclined to just scroll first when they come to Pinterest. So they're going to just start scrolling and looking to see, is there a particular pin image that captures their attention? And then if so, they'll tap on it, they'll read it. And then from there, they'll decide if they're going to save it, if they're going to click on the link and so forth. So that just means the searches and all the clicks are very distributed on Pinterest search versus Google search. That can be, it's a different mindset to have, but also means you don't necessarily need to rank number one to get clicks. And also, I've seen and I've experienced having more than one of my pins show up for the same search result. So
That's what I was
it's
just in
great.
my mind. I
Yeah,
was thinking that actually might be a good thing because let's say they're scrolling and they've seen three, four, five different versions of your pin. First of all, you don't know which pin might speak to them. And second of all, if they've seen it and they've seen it in different variations, but they're like, hey, this one looks familiar. All of a sudden, they've got that connection point where they've already seen it once or twice. And it's,
yeah,
oh, maybe I might click this one. So I think
yeah.
that's an interesting take. And I hadn't thought about it, but it does make sense. Just like you said, when you think of the way that you view Pinterest, it's very much left to right and down. So you've got just this
That's right.
whole photo album almost right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And even on the mobile app, I believe it's two at a time and it's not in a perfect grid. And so you're going to see several all at once where they stack each pin image. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, if someone has very little time and they're going, okay, I spend my time creating the recipe, I create my pin, throw it on Pinterest, and I'm out the door. Is there an ideal number of pins per article someone should be creating and then pinning? Or are they better off just having one? Obviously, we know one's better than none, but is one going to be enough? Do you have either a strategy or direction that someone could take on how to do that?
Yeah. Okay. So the caveat here is your Pinterest strategy can change depending on the niche that you're in, but understanding the algorithm
Mhm.
and users and what they want from the platform, if you create one recipe, you can create a couple of pins and put them in really relevant boards, right? So if you create a chicken recipe, you can put that in all sorts of boards like easy dinner recipes, chicken recipes, right? Healthy recipes. So you
Mhm.
have all these
Mhm.
different boards, different themes of recipes that you can promote this one recipe and create a pin and put those in each board. And so over time, as you add more boards, I'm a big proponent of adding boards, then that gives you an opportunity to create a fresh pin for an existing recipe. But what can happen over time as a platform evolves and
Mhm.
they make changes to the algorithm, what we've noticed lately is that Pinterest is really favoring new URLs. So what I've seen, there have been some recipe bloggers who have seen a drop in traffic with some of their well-established recipes. And they're wondering what is going on. They create fresh pins for it. Nothing's happening. So in that case, if it were me, what I would do is I would go and look at that recipe with a fresh set of eyes and
Mhm.
see if there is a way I can make this a little bit different, a little
Sure.
tweak, maybe remove one ingredient, add something else in there, and then it gives it a new twist. And basically, I would clone that recipe, create a new blog post, give it a slightly different title to reflect this unique angle that you've taken
Mhm.
with it. But really, the instructions are going to be mostly the same. So you want to update those a little bit based on whatever new thing you've incorporated into it. But otherwise, it's almost the same thing. And you can use, if you hopefully you take lots of pictures of different angles. And so you can reuse some photos. Or if you want to recreate it again and take fresh photos, that's great. But you've already done a lot of the work with creating the recipe, coming up with it, testing it, and whatnot. And so it'll be a little simpler to just duplicate it, but add a unique twist to it. Now you've got a new URL and you can create a new set of pins for it.
Interesting. And I know Carly mentioned this, and that was if you have something that you're really not changing a whole lot in the article itself, you can actually no index it so that Google doesn't see it as duplicate
Yeah.
content. And that was a big thing for me because it was one of those moments where I go, oh, okay, because I've always been terrified of duplicate
Yeah.
content. So you're like, oh my gosh, gosh, if I use the same word, it's duplicate content. And you're terrified because it's like, oh, the Google police are going to come after me. But I'm thinking, I don't need another black mark from Google on my account.
Right.
I'm thinking, how can I not duplicate the content? But if, let's say, the article was the lemon chicken, and maybe it is made gluten free, there's nothing gluten in it, you can make it as gluten free lemon chicken. And that's going to be a different twist on it. But if it's going to be too similar to the
Mhm.
original lemon chicken, and you're like, I don't really necessarily want them to both be on the site,
Yeah.
no, index it. And then Google doesn't see it, but Pinterest does. And you get the best of both worlds because Pinterest sees it as a new URL.
Yep.
And there you go.
Yeah, they don't really care about having that duplicate content or overlapping content. Honestly, my opinion is Google needs to figure this out. That's on them, but I
Right.
do recommend, and you are correct, put in that no index so it doesn't get indexed by Google. But honestly, I think that's Google's problem. They should be able to figure that out. This is something unique. It's different, but yeah, there's a lot of overlapping. Who cares if it's helpful for the end user? But that's on
Exactly.
Google.
It goes back to the beginning of this discussion about user intent and understanding how, when someone goes to a platform, what they're wanting to get from it and how you can best leverage it. So,
Yeah.
understanding that Pinterest is much more visual in nature than Google, understanding it's okay to have 14 pins under lemon
Mhm.
chicken. That's totally fine. With Google, you don't want competing content. You don't want to be competing for that 1 through 3 spot or the 1 through
Right.
10 to be on that first page. So, you really have to be careful in how you negotiate keywords. But from what you're saying, that's not the case with Pinterest.
One other thing that I really love about Pinterest that's very different from Google is that Pinterest, they share a lot of information with us creators. One of the great things about it is for a pin, an individual pin that you create, within 30 days, Pinterest will tag that pin with different keywords. So Pinterest will use their technology to analyze the image. They then look at the pin title, the description, they'll even look at your blog post and the recipe, and then they will look at their own internal database of like 12 million plus keywords, and they will tag your pin with about 7, 8 different keywords that they believe are relevant to that pin. And what's cool is that we can see that as users. You can only see it if you go to that pin logged out, and then it's clunky to try to see all those keywords. You got to do a lot of weird scrolling and stuff. That's one of the reasons why I made PinClicks, and thanks to Carly Campbell and her suggestion of, hey, can you pull all these tagged keywords, or they're called annotations or annotated interests. And that way you can just paste in your pin URL and instantly see those, or you can look at any other pin. So if you are looking to create this lemon chicken recipe, you can use a tool like PinClicks where you can search for that, and you can see all these existing pins that are ranking for that keyword and have done really well on the platform. And you can look and see all of the keywords they've been tagged with. And I guarantee you, you're going to see keywords that you had never thought of that are
Yes.
connected to this lemon chicken, that now you can use those keywords in your pin title, your pin description, and it gives you a new opportunity to create a brand new pin. You can almost create a new pin to target each new keyword, but hopefully you also tweak your pin design for each one. You don't want to like just continue to create the same pin design with different keywords. But it's a great way to really expand your vocabulary, honestly, of ways that users and even Pinterest are understanding different recipes and with different user intents with those as well. Yeah. So the cool thing about PinClicks is that we're the only tool that has been able to find at least 12 million of these official keyword interests, and we have them in our own database. We made it fully searchable. We show search volume for all of them. Right now, I don't know of any other tool that does that, and it's just completely changed the way I do Pinterest, and as so many other people being able to see that level of information.
It's the ultimate shortcut to all the best things that Pinterest has to offer, honestly. Because as a PinClicks user, I can tell you, when you get on there on the platform, first of all, it's very easy to understand the platform itself, which I appreciate, because every platform you go to, it feels like you have to go through a 3-day tutorial to figure out where to find stuff, what it
Yeah.
even means. But with PinClicks, it's super easy to navigate and find what you need and figure it out. And you have the tutorials to explain it, which I also appreciate. So
Cool.
if
Yeah.
someone gets on there and they're like, oh gosh, where do I start? You've got a really nice onboarding process to help people understand how to use the tool to its maximum effectiveness, because the tool's only as useful as you using it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and I try to design it so that the look and feel was very similar to Pinterest, like going to Pinterest trends or analytics and everything, just to build that familiarity with their UI and just make it a little easier for everybody.
And I can say firsthand, like I said, as a user, that when you get in there and you start, I don't know, chocolate cake, let's say that's going to be a super high level thing that there's probably 22 million pins on chocolate cake. But
Right.
then you start seeing when you click in there and you look at that pin and you can see those annotated interests, like you said, then it's chocolate cake cookies. And you're like, oh, wait, I could do a totally different post. And I never would have thought of that if I hadn't seen those annotated interests. So that is a really valuable part of having PinClicks. If ad income is on your radar at all. You need more traffic and you're going to get maximum traffic probably from Pinterest. And if that's the case, you're going to want to invest in tools that are going to help you leverage the traffic over there and get them to your site. So PinClicks is absolutely a game changer when it comes to Pinterest and just understanding how people, when they're viewing chocolate cake, what else they're looking for. And then that can help me
Mhm.
create new
Mhm.
content.
Yeah, for sure. And say I was a dessert blogger, I would not shy away from just creating a basic chocolate cake recipe. Because the thing with Pinterest is that they love new pins, they love new URLs, still put it up there because it's a fresh URL, it's a fresh pin. And then if you can capture that audience, because that pin will be tagged with that annotated interest of like chocolate cake, right? And so then what will happen is when a user engages with that pin, then Pinterest will assign that same chocolate cake tag to that user. And so now when they go to the home feed and they're trying to curate some pins that they think the user is going to click on, they're going to start showing them more pins related to chocolate cake, such as like chocolate cake brownies or cookies or whatever, because Pinterest understands all these different variations and
Yes.
connections between these, right? So that's one of the reasons why I like to always go after the broadest, biggest keywords continuously. And so now it's a matter of what are you going to do with all that traffic from Pinterest? One thing that I've noticed is for a lot of sites, their ad RPMs are much higher with Pinterest users versus Google. There's been a shift in the last couple of years with that. I'm not totally sure why, but it also has a lot to do with your site and your user experience on there, the kind of content you're creating. There's so many factors to ad RPMs and increasing your revenue, which seems like you also know quite a bit about. So that's where it's important to figure out how can I keep people on my site for a long time. Honestly, one of the great things about a recipe site is that once people decide to commit to your recipe, then they're going to be on your site for a while. My wife, for example, she will find a recipe and she will have it on her laptop on the kitchen counter and she keeps that page open for 45, 60 minutes, depends on how long it takes for that recipe, as she's like scrolling and following all the instructions, looking at all the ingredients and measurements. And I'm just watching all these ads refresh over and over again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this blogger is making a killing off my wife right now.
Yes,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness. If you're creating great recipes, that can help. One of the things that I've noticed about watching my wife interacting with Pinterest and interacting with food blogs, my wife really loves to cook. There are particular blogs that she really likes. So when it comes to desserts, her favorite one is Sally's Baking Addiction. So she found it, I believe, on Pinterest initially. And so what she will do now is she'll go to Google and type in Sally's Baking Addiction, and then she'll type in like cookies or something after that. So that
Mm.
she's just seeing only Google results of Sally's website to find some cookie recipe ideas. That means Sally's done a really great job with content and branding. And so now she's been able to capture that traffic from Pinterest and then turn that into people who subscribe to her newsletter or who are doing direct brand searches on Google. And for a lot of sites that I see these days, especially honestly AI sites, they don't do a great job with branding. And I think that is to the advantage of the food blogger listening right now. If you can spend a little bit more time on doing brand oriented things, that's
Mhm.
going to help with the case like with my wife, having those branded searches, people coming back, people subscribing to your newsletter, buying your cookbook, because you've been able to make yourself stand out and have something unique and provide some really great recipes that people love and want more of.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Food Bloggers Table. I'm your host, Jennifer Holt, and I look forward to serving you in the next episode.